All right, here we go. We're live. Welcome back to the Buzz Pod. Joining us today is a 2017 fifth round pick to the Los Angeles Kings, signed with the Los Angeles Kings. Oops. We got blonde hair, luscious flow, ocean blue eyes, a full sleeve, just a young stallion at 22 years of age, Drake Rymsha. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me on, buddy. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, seriously, man. This should have been Epi 2 or 3, but here we are, late in the 30s. Not a big deal. Buzz Pod, absolutely buzzing. And now we got you on here. So what have you been up to? Give us a little quarantine update. I know you've been golfing now because the golf courses are all opened up. But other than that, what's up?
Yep. So I was actually in LA with my roommate Mikey Asamont. You had him on earlier. We were kind of together when the whole pandemic kind of went down. So we just stuck it out in LA together, and then kind of when we got a better read on what was going to happen towards our season and stuff like that, we were kind of advised to head home. So we stuck it out there for as long as we could, enjoyed the weather, and then made my way back to Michigan, back to the family, and that's where I've been ever since.
What have you been doing on Netflix? You got anything on Netflix?
I crushed Ozark. It was a sick show.
Okay,
Uh,
I couldn't really get into that, honestly.
you didn't get into it?
No, I mean, dude, I watched 2 episodes and no, I didn't really get into Breaking Bad either. I couldn't, I don't know what it is about those shows. I loved Outer Banks.
Yeah, Outer Banks was good. Obviously, I watched Tiger King. That's kind of a
Yeah.
standard that everyone watched. Pretty crazy on that one. And then, yeah, I mean, Ozark, it's kind of just like Breaking Bad on steroids, in my opinion. Rewatched a couple episodes of All American. That was a
I
good
heard
show.
that's pretty good. I haven't watched it.
Very good show. Love that one. And yeah, kind of just been chilling. Like you said, the golf course is open here. So my club, I belong to Detroit Golf Club, so that opened back up. So I've been pretty much going there every single day. Been, there's not so much you can do. There's no ice rinks open. There's nothing anything like that. So I got some gym equipment in my garage. I've been cranking out those in the morning. Just heading over to the
That
golf.
you're looking huge.
Yeah, it's trying to get like you there.
I talked to some of your teammates obviously before having you on the pod, and other than a bunch of chirps that they had for you, they filled me in that you're actually one thing that they really pumped your tires on is that you're actually an unbelievable golfer, which is like pretty common in hockey. But you actually come from a hockey family. Your dad actually had a cup of coffee in the National League, and here you are, and your brother's playing pro hockey. But talk a bit about your golf game. I mean, you just mentioned you were playing against a kid that plays Div 1 golf, and yeah, how are you so good?
I think for me, it's like growing up, it was just I wasn't really never really into video games. I always was doing something active, whether it was baseball, lacrosse, golf, hockey. I was always an active kid, and for me, I just need something to keep me busy throughout the day. Whether like I said, I'm not a big guy of just sitting at home playing video games, and I found that through pro golf's kind of been my escape, if you want to call it. Like if a long day at the rink, I can just go down to the driving range for a couple hours, get my mind off the game, and kind of just relax and check out of hockey and put my mind on something else. And that's kind of something that comes natural to me. And, I know it comes natural to a lot of hockey players. I mean, the mechanics of a golf swing are very similar to shooting a puck. So it's just, yeah, like I said, the biggest thing for me, it gets my mind away from the game of hockey and the stresses that everything comes with it. So, I love it and keeps me busy.
That's sick. Yeah, what you said about the mechanics being similar, I think that's true because I can't shoot the puck or swing the golf club, so must be correlated there. You grew up in Huntington Woods, Michigan. You're a dual citizen, multicultural kid. Pretty nice.
Yeah.
USA and Canada, like I mentioned earlier, your dad had a cup of coffee in the show. Can you talk about growing up in Michigan? Obviously, hockey's a common thing over there, and your brother plays, and your dad played. So talk about growing up into the game.
Yeah, so my dad played Western Michigan, played there for 4 years, and then started his pro ranks, played in the American League, played in the old IHL when that was up and running, and then like you said, he was with the Quebec Nordiques for for that entire year, he only played 6 games, but he was up pretty much the whole year. So after that, he had a couple kids and realized he had to make a little bit more money. So he went overseas for about 10 years, and my mom kind of just stuck with him and traveled everywhere with him. I mean, I know when he played in Europe, he was never in one city for more than a year. He played on 10 different teams. He kind of just traveled the world. And my mom's only request was when it's over that she wanted to move back to Michigan. She's from here. She went to Western as well, so that's how they met, and that's how we ended up here. And I grew up, unbelievable spot to grow up. There's a lot of unbelievable hockey players that come out of the Michigan area. It's kind of the Detroit spot's kind of a hub for hockey, and it was a great spot to grow up and develop in the game of hockey for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned how your dad was a bit of a suitcase over there in Europe. I think that's just how it is in pro hockey, period, especially in Europe as a North American guy. But can you talk a bit about how having your dad went through the grind? Your dad was called up, sent down, traded, and whatnot. My dad's never put a pair of hockey skates on. So can you talk a bit about like what it's like? Because now you're playing pro hockey. You've gotten sent down, you've gotten called up, and you have somebody that the man that raised you has literally like went through that, and not just that. Now you got sorry, your older brother playing in the coast, experiencing similar things as well. So can you talk about like how that's helped you? Do you talk to him about that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, me and my dad, we're super close. I call him pretty much every day, and like you said, he understands everything that goes about the game. He understands the business side of it. He understands all that stuff that goes with it. And to have someone in your corner who's been through exactly what you're going through, like you said, he's been traded, he's been sent down, he's gone from team to team. He wasn't a perennial all-star that played 17 years in the NHL for one team. He was essentially a journeyman, and he experienced a hell of a lot of things, on the ice and off the ice. And to have him in my corner, helping me along the way and providing me guidance that he didn't have and everything that he learned and passing it on to me and my brother as well, it makes life a lot easier instead of just, something bad happens at the rink or anything like that. You don't understand what's going on, what's happening. He's always there to kind of calm you down and show you the bigger picture of things and just talk you through everything like that. And because he's been through it all, like I said, and the support that he's given me and my brother throughout the years, it's been extremely helpful for me.
Yeah, I want to take us back. Can you talk a bit about your game? When you were younger, I remember you were always like a bit of a smaller, grittier player. Now I think Elite Prospect says you're like 6 foot 180. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but that's what I read. So like you've obviously grown a little bit though. Can you talk a bit about your game? Like you were a fifth round pick to the OHL and cracked that insane team that we're obviously going to talk about. But give us your game.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Detroit, and I was a very good player when I was younger. And then, as like you said, as the ages of 11, 12, 13, 14, when kids started to mature a little bit more, I was kind of a late bloomer. And again, that was just something I couldn't control, and I had to find ways to still be effective. Whether I didn't grow as much, like you said, I was a little shorter, I was a little skinnier, and I was a little step behind from everyone just in the maturity side of things. So I had to find something that made me effective, whether that was, like you said, playing grittier or, playing hard, being hard to play against. It's kind of what my biggest thing is. I know if you talk to a lot of people, not a lot of people enjoy me on the ice, and it is what it is. That's just the kind of game I play, and that's what's got me to this point, and I don't really want to change that. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much my game.
Yeah. So that year that you were playing for the Toronto Junior Canadiens in the GTHL, that's your OHL draft year, and you're right there in the back door of the Ontario Hockey League. You lit that league up, dude. I mean, you guys won that league that year, obviously. In 33 games, you had 15 goals and 26 assists for 41 points. You get drafted fifth round, 83rd overall by the London Knights. Fifth rounders don't usually make the team as a 16-year-old. And especially if you're playing for that London Knights team with, I don't know, Mitch Marner, Dvorak, Domi, who all had over 100 points that year. Can you just talk about like your whole experience of you got drafted in the OHL and then you decide to go to camp and actually crack the squad?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up my entire career playing for Little Caesars. We pretty much ran the Detroit area, won a lot. We were a really good team, and then Bantam, major Bantam year, the team decided that they're going to split up. Most guys were going to Honey Baked, so I didn't really want to play for Honey Baked. So like you said, I ended up moving to Toronto to play for the Junior Canadians, and that's kind of when I started to mature physically. I felt better about my game. My speed was coming back. I was physically more mature and everything like that. So I think my game kind of came back in that aspect. And then minor midget, obviously we had that powerhouse of a Junior Canadians team. So that obviously made my life easier. And the biggest saying is team success brings individual success. And that was a big part of that. And then, yeah, I got drafted in the 5th round to London. And like you said, I mean, my dad played college hockey at Western Michigan. So, I mean, he never really pressured me into anything. I mean, playing in the OHL was something that I always wanted to do, but I mean, spade's a spade. I was a 5th round pick, and if I didn't make that team as a 16-year-old, I probably would have gone to college and played at Western Michigan, like my dad did and like my uncle did, and everything like that. But that's what my dad told me. He said, "I'm going to give you the chance." He said, "If you make that team out of camp as a 16-year-old, you can go there, but if you don't make the team, then you're going to go to college." And I went into camp and trying to prove a point. And like you said, I made that team, and it was something I dreamed of, playing for London at 16. You play in front of 10,000 fans, and that team was very, very loaded. We had, like you said, Marner, Dvorak, Domi, McCarron, Murmis, Rupert. It was a big locker room to come into, but I think that year for my development was the best and most important year of my career for sure.
Yeah, you played every game, 62 games, or almost every game. 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. That's solid, man. I mean, I'm assuming you didn't get a lot of ice time. You're not going to play over Marner, Dvorak, Domi, and those guys. But I mean, you played every game, which is sick for a 16-year-old. And then the next year, play 4 games. You get traded to the Ottawa 67s, where you put up 9 points in 28 games. I wanted to ask you actually, did you have any injuries that year since you didn't play
Yeah,
the season?
I broke my femur.
Oh, really? So we've had a guy come on the pod that broke his femur. So that's your leg, right?
Yeah, I broke my femur. It was a clean break right between the growth plate of my knee. So it was, at first they thought it was my knee because my knee was bugging me, but then we got the X-ray and it was a clean break through the growth plate and up through the femur. So I mean, I was out for 3 months, 3.5 months, and then obviously that's a pretty catastrophic injury to try and come back to, and that was my draft year and a lot of pressure putting on myself that I really want to get drafted. I got to come back as quick as possible and play and yada yada yada. And then I actually came back, and probably 3 games after coming back, I separated my shoulder. And then tried to battle it out. I was getting frozen needles put in my shoulder before pretty much every game because I just wanted to play and show what I could do. But obviously that was a tough year for me mentally and physically. I'd say more so. I learned a lot about myself as a person more than I did as a hockey player that year. Just going through something like that and trying to bounce back from something like that was extremely tough. But I mean, I'm glad that I went through it, and obviously I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I think that's one thing is injuries really like obviously injuries are terrible and you don't wish them on anyone, but if there's one thing that I find to be a repetitive cycle is guys really come out of injuries stronger if they want to. I feel like the guys that are hungry to keep on playing usually turn it around into something good. Like kind of what you just said, whether it be building mental strength or like learning how to work hard. We've had a couple of those, but then you come back for the Ottawa 67s. You play 37 games. This is your third year. You have 29 points, 15 goals, 14 assists. Your best year by far. You're traded to to Sarnia, where you finish off over a point per game with 33 points in 28 games. So you had, my math is right, you had 35 goals. Yeah, 20 plus 15. 35 goals that year, which is sick, dude. Your third year in the OHL, 35 goals. Your years prior, I mean, 3 goals, 5 goals. So, can you talk about like what that season meant for you? Obviously, you had an extra step of motivation, maybe because of what I just mentioned, coming back from injuries and all that, finally being fresh.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, and then the draft came and went, and I didn't see my name picked, and obviously that was a huge downer. But I mean, I didn't have the year I wanted to. I mean, I got hurt, and I didn't have that good of stats, so I knew there wasn't that good of a chance that I wasn't going to get drafted. I wasn't expecting much, but when you see the draft come and go, and you don't see your name picked, obviously it's a little extra motivation. That's always a kid's dream, is to get drafted. So I mean, that was my biggest motivation. And then, to prove that I could actually play in the league. I had a tough second year. I mean, my first year, like you said, I didn't play much. I didn't really get an opportunity to show what I can do. And then the second year was kind of riddled with injuries. So I didn't. Third year, I just really wanted to show what I could do as a player. And then I had a good start in Ottawa, and then I was really given an opportunity in Sarnia, and I kind of ran with it there, and never looked back in those 2 years in Sarnia.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that because you're drafted fifth round by the LA Kings at 19, which is not very common. You obviously had a sick season, and I'm guessing teams were well aware that in your draft year you were injured and whatnot. So you go back to Sarnia for your 20 bomb year. Did you sign before your 20 bomb year or after?
I didn't play my 20-year-old year in the
Oh,
O.
you
That was
play your
my
21,
year.
your 20-year-old
No, I
year.
played 4 years in the O.
Terrible podcast host. But so that was your third year. So then your fourth year, you played 68 games, 31 goals, 42 assists, well over a point per game for 73 points, and then you sign in the NHL, right?
Yes, I signed after my fourth year.
Okay, so you sign in the NHL after your fourth year. You're too good to play as a 20 bomb. That's my bad. I apologize. So you signed with LA, man. So you grew up in Michigan, and you go to wherever you go, Toronto, London, Ottawa, Sarnia. Now you're going to Los Angeles. I feel like you were kind of made for this. This is like what you've been waiting for. You got the blonde, luscious flow, the blue eyes. I mean, you look like LA in a man, in a person. So can you talk a bit about just like, get one thing is getting drafted in the National Hockey League, and like, you always hear guys say, I'll get drafted anywhere, and like that's a fact. I would have gotten drafted anywhere, take me anywhere. But I mean, I would have been way more excited to get picked by LA than, let's say, a team in Canada, something like, you're on the beach all the time, just enjoying life. Can you talk a bit about your experience there?
Yeah, I mean, so LA it's like you said, it's unbelievable. It's tough to describe because it's kind of like its own little world. I mean, you've visited it. Like it's a crazy time. It's extremely fun. There's so much to do. Whether you want to, go hiking, you want to go shopping, you want to go to nice restaurants, you want to go see the sunset. Like there's so much at your arsenal that it's kind of overwhelming at times. But it's so much fun. I mean, it's nice weather 24/7. You're going in the rink in shorts and a t-shirt pretty much every day, and you live right by the beach. And after practice, you go down to the beach with the guys, and you throw the football around. You want to play some volleyball, and then late at night you go for a bike ride. Like it's January, and you're cruising down the pier, and then on a bike or a longboard. So it's definitely a fun time.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like for a guy like me, I grew up in Florida, and then I ended up traveling to where places like where you were from. But you kind of just did the opposite, and not just that, but like playing, in the American League there, and those types of perks. Let's get into that, dude. You played in the American Hockey League. Before that, I'm pretty sure you played a preseason game in the National Hockey League. I saw you actually had a tilt that game. Can you talk about your experience there, like playing in a preseason NHL game and then leading into your first pro year?
Yeah, I mean that was so far the coolest experience that I've had. I mean, hopefully one day I'll be able to, to play in a real NHL game, but to play in an exhibition game was cool. I mean, I played in Vancouver and then I played again in Anaheim, and that's as close as I've gotten to my dream so far. So to be able to do that and kind of see, I mean, I know it was a preseason game, but to kind of see what it's all about, the pace of it, and playing in that big of a stadium was very cool. And then going into my first year pro, I got sent down the American League, and just trying to find what you can do as a pro to be effective and stay in the lineup and stay consistent. I'd say is the biggest thing. For a young guy, you're trying to prove yourself to not only management but to the coaches and players as well. Whether that's showing up to practice every day and just working hard or doing extra stuff, but it's a big adjustment. I don't think I was expecting it to be that tough. I mean, even with everyone telling me how hard it is and my dad and everything, but you don't understand it until you live it. And I definitely lived it, and I saw how hard of adjustment it really is.
Yeah, talk a bit. So, like, you just finished off your second year of pro hockey. Splitting time between the AHL and the ECHL. Like your first year, you're going into your third year of your contract. Can you talk a bit about what your goals are for this season and how you're going to prepare this summer? Obviously, this stuff is hopefully starting to die down now, and you get a chance to get in your gym. You mentioned you have your own little home gym. Can you talk a bit about what you're focusing on this summer in order to go in next year and really solidify yourself in the American League? And then it's a contract year, so it's a big year for you.
Yeah, like you said, it's a massive year for me, and this the biggest thing. I know it's extremely cliche, and every hockey player says it, but it's a man's game, and you just as a 21-year-old right now, I'm turning 22 in August. You just gotta you're playing against grown men, right? So you gotta try and get as big an advantage as you can right now. I mean, no 21-year-old has grown man strength. It just is what it is. That comes with time, but to get myself in the gym as much as I can, and just get bigger and put on some weight and get faster. As everyone knows, the game's changing. It's getting extremely fast, and you got to stay on top of that. And just putting on some more muscle and getting faster will is my main goal for the summer for sure.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you, what's your connection with Warrior Hockey? I know I seen a little photo shoot of you looking nice and sexy, repping the Warrior gear. I'm sure a lot of girls follow Warrior Hockey, even though they have no idea what it is now because of you. Can you talk a bit about your connection with them? Is that like a family thing?
Yeah, my dad actually works for Warrior.
Oh, okay, there it is, right there. So it's not just because you're extremely good looking and good at hockey.
No, that it helps to have your dad be a sales rep for them for sure. But yeah, my dad at the end of his hockey career, he got in a sales rep. And he just sells sporting goods to stores and manufacturers like that. So he's at Warrior. He's been at Warrior for the last like 10 years or so. So they needed a young hockey player to help with the photo shoot, and that was right in Sarnia. So they asked me if I could come down for it. Obviously, not going to turn that down, right? No press is bad press. So that was
Yeah, you called your
uh,
dad. Hey, we heard your son's a man rocket. Is there any chance he'd do a shoot for us? It's like, yeah, sure. I made him. I made the kid. Like, I'll fucking get him to do it.
I don't know if it was like that, maybe. But yeah, that was a fun one. I got some free stuff out of it, so that was good.
Yeah, definitely. That's always nice to get a little free stuff. Can you talk a bit about like your time in the Ontario Hockey League? I've gotten a couple guys, but not too much from the Ontario Hockey League. I actually dreamed of playing in the Ontario Hockey League. That's why I was in the GTHL that year, playing against you. Never got that chance. Obviously went on to play in the Q, but can you talk about the OHL? Because, like I mentioned, I don't know if you heard the pod with Chikrin. Like the OHL at that time, like that was prime time Ontario Hockey League, and that was not only because of the McDavids and Stromes on Erie, but because of all the guys on your team. Um, so, like, I know you touched on it a bit, but like, can you talk about like that level of like hockey, man? Because that's everyone wanted to play there because of that talent.
Yeah, I mean it's not even just the talent. I mean, like The league has changed so much, in my opinion. Not just the league. I think the game has changed so much, and it's only been 4 years since I joined the OHL, or 5 years, 5 or 6 years. Geez, a long time ago. But
Quick math. It's all right.
like the league was so much tougher. We always talk about it, like with my buddies that we came in the league together with. Like there was times like you're going into a game where you're like, God, like there is just 3 to 4 extremely tough hockey players on the other side. I mean, I was playing against Curtis McDermott, who was my teammate last year, and I actually became really good buddies with him. But he was the scariest human I've ever met or seen on a hockey rink, and I had to play against him while he was on Erie. And it's just, again, you had the McDavids, you had the Stromes, you had the Domies, but every game was a battle and it was a grind, and it wasn't just up and down hockey. It wasn't 7-6. You know, a lot of games were hard hitting games, and I feel like that brand of hockey was more similar to pro as you're ever going to get, where you got a lot of skill guys, but at the same time it's a grind and there's no space out there, and everyone's going to make your life hell out there, whether it's tight checking or having good sticks, or obviously the skill of McDavid or a Strom or a Domi. But the game when I was 16, 17 in the OHL was such a grind, and that's why I think it's helped me to get to this point where I'm at today, because I had to play against guys like that and teams like that.
Yeah, all right. My next question is might be a tough one because I forgot to prepare you for it. But do you have maybe like an OHL memory or even an AHL memory of a story that's PG that you can tell that's just funny, like a funny bus story, or like somebody missing the bus, somebody missing a flight, or I obviously don't name names if that's the case. But do you have anything that's like just a little junior hockey taste?
Yeah, I got one. So we were it was our 4th year in Sarnia. Obviously, I'm not going to name names at all, but we were a pretty loaded team. We had a lot of 98s on that team, a lot of older teams. So we're preparing for the first round against Windsor, and we're on the ice, and everyone's like, so and so isn't here. So and so isn't here. We're like calling him, no answer, no answer. We're on the ice in like 15 minutes, and we're like this guy's he's just not going to show up. Like what's going on here? And then so we get on the ice, and everyone's like freaking out. Coaches are freaking out. Like everyone's wondering where he is. And then literally 30 minutes into practice, jumps the boards and gets right in the line and acts like nothing happened. We're all like, dude, like, where were you? And he's like, oh, my alarm didn't go off, the phone didn't go off. And we're like preparing for the first round of Windsor, like game tomorrow. And this guy is showing up like 30 minutes before practice. I think that's just the most junior story as it gets.
Yeah, that is 100%. That was unreal. I can't believe you got that off the dome. I have like three similar stories to that exact same one from the queue. So that is hilarious.
Just as junior as it gets.
I had guys in junior like oversleep for alarms. Like, come on, dude, come on.
Or like the old, like when I mean, I don't know if it was in the queue, but like obviously in Sarnia you play against Flint and Saginaw and everything like that. And before we leave the rink every time, the old everyone got their passports, because you got to go. And then there was one time they lived together, both of them forgot their passports. We drove the bus to their house to go pick up their passport. We had a bus going through a neighborhood in Sarnia to get the guys' passports.
Oh my God, that's the best one. We don't travel like to a different country. That's the best one by far.
Yeah.
That's the best one. All right, well, Rimmer, dude, that's all I got for you. I think that was an unbelievable epi, dude. I really appreciate you coming on and looking your absolute best like always.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. That was fun.
Fucking right. And I just